Well, hello and welcome to this English lesson where we are going to talk about tourism and travel. Tourism refers to the entire industry, all of the businesses that are involved in helping tourists find places to stay, places to eat, and of course all of the places that are cool to see. A tourist is simply someone who visits a place for pleasure, particularly on holiday. Tourists usually come from other countries, but you can be a tourist in your own country as well. People usually travel or take a trip on holiday or vacation. Travel and trip as a noun refer to going to another location for pleasure or a particular purpose. It can be another city, town, country, etc. Travel as a verb means to go from one place to another or to several places, especially ones that are far away. Far can mean long distances within the same country or to other countries. Trip as a verb has a different meaning. However, trip as a noun means the act of going to another place and returning. For example, I bought this souvenir on my trip to California. You plan a trip, you go on a trip, or you take a trip, and you come back from a trip. Like this, I took a long trip to California last year. And we say things like day trip, business trip, and road trip to describe different kinds of trips. A day trip is a visit to an interesting place when you go there and come back the same day. A business trip is a journey where you go somewhere because of your business. A road trip is a long trip that you take in a car, usually with friends. And you might be traveling simply to visit someone. So there are different reasons to travel. One of the reasons to travel is simply to visit people. Now, a journey is an occasion when you travel from one place to another, especially over a long distance. The word journey is a noun that means a trip that takes a long time, especially if there are either difficulties or discoveries in transit. For instance, I hope to take a journey across America by car one day. Let's wish for it. Vacation and holiday are two words that are widely used interchangeably to denote time away from work or education. A vacation is a period of time spent away from work for rest, relaxation, or travel, while a holiday is a specific day or period of time designated as a public or religious celebration. Now, a destination is the place that someone or something is going to. Let's say I really wanted to visit France to see Eiffel Tower. I would tell people I'm going on a trip. And they could ask me, where are you going? Or they could ask, what's your destination? Destination is a little more of a formal word. Sometimes you will hire a travel agent, or you will go to a travel agency to have a travel agent help you plan your trip. So this is a person who helps you plan your trip. They will help you get your plane tickets. They will help you get your hotel reservations. So a travel agent is a handy person if you are going to a country where you don't know a lot. Sometimes you will plan the trip yourself. Many people plan trips themselves. They will take care of it online. They book or reserve a spot on a plane or at a hotel. To book something or to reserve something means to keep a place, to keep your place. You book a flight, you book a hotel room to use at a particular time in the future. For instance, I'd like to reserve a table for 2. Do you have to book tickets in advance? As a tourist, you will need accommodations. Accommodations is just a general term that we use to refer to the places you stay when you're visiting somewhere. In everyday English, people usually say somewhere to live or stay rather than accommodation. For instance, have you found anywhere to stay yet? You could stay in a hotel, motel, hostel, or B&B. A hotel is a building with many floors and rooms with the doors on the inside. You might stay at a motel, which is a smaller place with 1 or 2 floors and the doors on the outside. You might stay at an Airbnb, which is when you simply rent a room or an apartment or a house from someone else. Airbnb is an American San Francisco-based company operating an online marketplace for short and long-term homestays and experiences. In other words, it's an online platform that allows property owners to list their place as holiday accommodation and will enable travelers to find a place to stay while they're away from home. Or you might stay at a bed and breakfast. A bed and breakfast is when you pay someone to sleep in one of their bedrooms and they give you breakfast the next day before you leave. You might want to stay in a room with a view. A room with a view is a room at a hotel that has a clear view from the windows of whatever you came to see in that tourist area. When we say that somewhere is a tourist area, what we mean by that is that many people visit this area. A tourist attraction is similar to a tourist area, but it simply includes the word attraction because people are attracted there. And then lastly, we have a word touristy. A touristy place is full of tourists and the things that attract tourists. We may say, oh, Niagara Falls is becoming touristy, or it's so touristy in Niagara Falls. And what we mean by that is that there are a lot of tourists visiting there. A very common activity when you are a tourist is that you might go sightseeing. There are many sights to see when you are a tourist, and you might go sightseeing in order to see all of them, but one of them is the highlight of your trip. When something is a highlight, it means it is the part you enjoyed the most when you were on a trip. So sometimes when you get back from a trip, people will say, "What was the highlight of your trip?" And what they mean is, "What was your favorite part?" When you go on a trip, you might go on little tours while you are on that trip. A tour is where you go around and you see all of the important tourist attractions while you are visiting. You can go on a self-guided tour. A self-guided tour is a tour that you give yourself. And usually before you do this, you will research online or buy a guidebook and you will find out all of the places that you should see when you are visiting that city or that tourist attraction. You might go on a guided tour, which is a visit to a place such as a museum with a guide who explains facts about the place. So you might go on a tour where there is a tourist guide. So a tourist guide is someone who knows the area well and takes people either on a walking tour of the area or shows them all of the tourist attractions or all of the sites. As with self-guided tours, guided tours may be conducted on foot or by vehicle. Guided tours are also known as escorted tours or package tours. So you might go on a bus tour. Bus tour is where you get on a bus and the bus drives you to different tourist attractions. And you usually have a tourist guide who tells you about all of the places you are visiting along the way. If you go on a trip, you will probably have an itinerary. Itinerary is a plan. It says you are leaving on this day at this time from this airport, arriving on this day at this time at this airport. The itinerary is also the plan if you are doing a package tour with excursions. A package tour means a trip at a fixed price in which the travel company arranges your travel, hotels, expositions, tickets, and sometimes meals for you. An excursion means an outing. Outing is a short trip that a group of people take for pleasure. If you're going to Africa, you're probably going to go on safari. That's a type of excursion. Usually, when you go on a trip and you buy a package that includes several tours during the trip, you will have an itinerary for each day so that you know what places you will be visiting. So, there are a few phrases you might hear if you ever go on a tour. Your tour guide might tell you, "Tomorrow we are leaving bright and early." That means that you are probably leaving at 6 or 7 a.m. Your tour guide will tell you the actual time, but bright and early or first thing in the morning means that you're doing something the next day and it's going to be early. You might also be told to travel light. This simply means don't bring a lot of things along. If you are going on a walking tour or a bus tour, you probably don't want to bring more than just a small backpack. So if someone tells you that you need to travel light, maybe your tour guide says, "I'm picking you up first thing in the morning, make sure that you travel light," it means don't bring a lot of things along. And at the end of a long day, your tour guide might say, "I think we are going to call it a day." When you say you're going to call it a day, it simply means that the day is over. It means to quit an activity for the rest of the day or for the present time and decide to stop working because you've done enough or you're tired. Cities like Niagara Falls that have a lot of tourists every year will have an area called an entertainment district. An entertainment district is an area where people generally go at night after they have spent the day looking at the falls and other tourist attractions. There are bars and restaurants in the entertainment district. There is a lot to do here at night, and of course, there are many souvenir shops. A souvenir is something small that you buy to help you remember the trip later. For instance, souvenir magnets are a great keepsake from places visited. Now, if you're going to travel abroad, one of the first things you will have to do is you're going to need some travel documents. A document is a piece of paper or something with official information that tells you something is okay or outlines it for you. For instance, your passport is a document given by the government with your picture on it that says you are a citizen of the country and you are legal. You will also generally need to get a visa to many countries. Now, a visa is something that you use to get into a country. It gives you permission to stay in that country. But be aware that if you are going through another country, you might need a transit visa. So, for example, you are going to country C via country B. Via means by way of or through. You might need a transit visa, which allows you to go there, switch planes, and keep going on your journey. However, you are still in another country and you might need a transit visa. And you might want to rent a car. You can also hire a car. They mean the same thing. British people generally use hire more, and North Americans use rent more often. If so, before you go, you will need to obtain an IDP, which stands for International Driving Permit. The term International Driving License is often misused when referring to an international driving permit. Also, make sure you're prepared to spend money as soon as you get to your destination. If you're going to a different country, that country will be using a different currency. The currency is the type of money that a country uses. Canada has the Canadian dollar. America has the American dollar. In Europe, you need the euro. So make sure you have some of the currency before you go, or purchase it at the airport or at the destination you are going to. Most capital cities have extensive exchange facilities. Now, exchange means a process in which you change money from one currency to another. So an exchange rate is the rate at which one currency will be exchanged for another currency. Travel insurance is a type of insurance for travelers against illness, accidents, loss of bags, etc. Travel insurance coverage can include more or less than the mentioned items, depending on the insurance package policy. Due to hygiene reasons, you might need to get a vaccination, you might need to get an injection, or you might need to get pills, or anything like that to protect you from whatever troubles there are. Vaccinations are sometimes called inoculation. Next, you have to think about your baggage or luggage. The cases, bags, boxes, suitcases, and anything you are carrying with you when you are traveling. You get together your clothes and all of the things that you need on your trip, and you pack your bags. You might have check-in baggage and carry-on baggage. Check-in baggage means you give it to the airline, assuming you are flying. They put it under the plane and you pick it up at your destination. Carry-on baggage means you carry on, so you carry it on your shoulder onto the plane. It may be called hand luggage or cabin baggage. In your carry-on, you have to be careful. It has to be small. There are some carry-on baggage restrictions. You cannot have liquids or sharp things because of security and all that stuff. So things that you cannot put in your carry-on, you must put in your check-in baggage and give it to the airline. Now, customs is the place at the port, airport, or border where your bags are checked for illegal goods when you go into a country. So if you buy anything overseas, when you come back home, you might have to declare to the customs officer what you are bringing back home with you. So you have to make a declaration. Be prepared to declare anything that you bought, because if you get caught, it's not going to be very good. You might get into a bit of trouble with the customs officer. And there are some things you should consider after your trip. Make sure you have received the miles and points you are entitled to. They are a type of currency given back to you that you can later redeem for your flights, hotel stays, and other rewards. Make insurance claims. If something went awry during your trip and you need to make a claim on your travel or health insurance policy, do not put it off. There are often time limits in the fine print of your policy, and if you wait too long, you may be ineligible for coverage. Gather all the necessary documents and file your claim as soon as you can. And do not forget to turn off your international package on your cell phone, check your bank and credit card statements, share your experiences with other travelers, and above all, sort and caption your photos while your memories are still fresh. Well, hey, let's call it a day. I'm Nima the Persian. I hope you enjoyed the video as much as I did making it. I hope you learned just a little bit more English in this lesson. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and don't forget to click that red subscribe button below. And start planning your next trip.